Okay, guys, this is the reading video for our Unit 6 upcoming oral test. Me reading for the reading packet. Just a reminder, everyone's preparing from the beginning up until the number 1. For these proofs rejections, you can choose 3 out of the 5. And then we fast forward to everyone has to pair these lines at the end. Here we go. Amar le Rav Chisda le Rami Bar Chama. Rav Chisda says to Rami Bar Chama, Lo havit gaban be'urta. You were not with us at night, Bitchuma, in that area, di Ba'ilan Milta Mile Maliata, where they asked us, where we were discussing a really awesome case, a really awesome milim, some really awesome words. Amar my Mile Maliata, he said, what were the great words? Amar le, he said to him, Hadar b'chatzer chaveiro, shalom mida'ato, if one who resides in the courtyard of his friend without his knowledge or permission, tzarich lahalot lo schar, is he required to pay wages for that? Oh, ein tzarich, or does he not have to pay? Heichidami, what's the case? What situation exactly are we talking about? Ilema, if you say b'chatzer de lo kaima la'agra, in a courtyard that is not suitable for rent, v'gavra de lo avid lamegar, and a person who is not planning, who is not suitable to pay rent, zel lo nehenev, zel lo chaser. In that case, he does not benefit. The squatter doesn't save any money because they weren't going to pay anyway. Zel lo chaser, and the homeowner wasn't renting it anyway. So that's obviously patur. Ella hadar b'chatzer de kaima la'agra. But if it's a case with the field is suitable for rent, v'gavra da'avid lamegar, and the person is willing to is suitable to pay, zen henev v'zeh chaser, then this one benefits. The squatter saves money, v'zeh chaser, and the homeowner loses rent that they were planning on collecting. So it seems like it's an obvious answer. That's also obviously chayav. Lo tzricha, no. Well, it is required to ask. We do need to ask this. B'chatzer de lo kaima la'agra, in a courtyard that is not suitable for rent, v'gavra da'avid lamegar, but a person who is suitable to pay rent. So we have a case of one person benefits, the squatter saves money, but the other person doesn't lose because they weren't renting their house anyway. Matzi amarle, perhaps, maybe, or what can he say to him? Is he able to say to him, "My chasartich"? The squatter can say, "What did you lose?" So in our case, Ben can say to Ari, "You didn't lose anything." Oh, Dilma, Matzi Amarle, Matzi Amar, or maybe he, meaning the homeowner, is able to say, "Ha'it nehit," you benefited. So we have kind of a good question on the two sides of what should the halacha be. Proof number 1, Amarle. Rami Bar Chama responded, Matnitin. That answer is simple. It's a Mishnah. Hey Matnitin. Which Mishnah are you talking about? Amarle, he responds, L'chli tishameshli. Go do some work for me. Serve me, and then I'll tell you. Shakal sudre, he takes his scarf, karachle, and he folds it for him. Amarle, so Rami Bar Chama responds, Im nehenate v'shalmeit masha nehenate. He quotes that Mishnah about an ox eating some food that was left in public. If the ox benefits, if the ox owner saves money by not having to buy lunch, v'shalmeit masha nehenate, you have to pay for your benefit. Clearly, you have to pay for benefit you get. Amar Rava says, Kama lo chaliyu lo margish gavra de mare saye. How little, or it's so great that how little he is nervous and he is concerned. This person is concerned because his master is helping him, because Hashem is helping him. It's like basically he's really not nervous, and clearly he has a lot of Hashem's help. The afagav de lo dami lematitin, even though this case is not similar to that Mishnah. Our case of Ben and Ari is not similar to this Mishnah about the ox. Kible minei, his answer was accepted. That Rav Chisda didn't reject his answer out of hand like he should have. Hi zed nehenev is a chaser, because this is a case of zed nehenev is a chaser, that the owner of the steaks, the owner of the food that was left in public, loses. That's not similar to our case where it's zed nehenev is a lo chaser. Hi zed nehenev is a lo chaser. But our case over here is a case of zed nehenev. This one benefits is a lo chaser. This one doesn't lose. So we explained Rami Bar Chama would say stam peirot. Generally, fruits, bereshut harabim, left in public, afkurei mafkerhu, are considered hefker. So the homeowner, the fruit owner doesn't really lose because the fruit left in public is kind of considered ownerless, so it doesn't really belong to him anyway. That's how Rami Bar Chama would explain his answer. But we tried to prove it and we rejected it. Number 2, Tznan. We learned in the Mishnah, hamakiv chaverim mishalosh ruchotav. If someone builds a wall around his fellow's field from three of the directions, the gadar tarishona v'tashniya v'etashishit, and he builds walls number 1, 2, and 3. Ein mechayvinoto. We do not require Shimon, the inside guy, to pay. Haravi'it mechayvinoto, but that implies that if Ruvain were to build the wall all the way around, that Shimon would have to pay. Learn from this, in the case of this one benefits, meaning Shimon benefits from the wall, v'zelo chaser, but Ruvain doesn't lose anything because he wanted to build the wall anyway, chayav. Shimon has to pay for the benefit of the wall he gets. Seems like our case should be chayav. Shani hatam, that case is different. To Amar Le, that Ruvain can say to him, At garam taliha kefa yetera, you have caused me to build an additional wall. That I wouldn't have had to build these inner walls if not for you. So Ruvain kind of does our case where Ari doesn't lose anything, but in this case, Ruvain does kind of lose out a little bit. So we reject that proof. Tashma, come in here. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi has a different take in that Mishnah. Imamad nikaf v'gadar tarvi'it, if the inner guy builds the fourth wall, megal galin alav et hakol. Then if Shimon builds the fourth wall, then he has to pay for all of them, because obviously he's a fan of the walls. Tama de gadar, but the reason in Rav Yossi's case is because the inner guy built the wall. Nikaf de gadar nikaf, that the one who is surrounded built the wall. Hamakif patur, but that implies that if Ruvain built the fourth wall, that Shimon would be patur. So according to Rabbi Yossi, if Ruvain builds all four walls, Shimon doesn't have to pay. Shmamina zeh nehenev is elo chaser patur. Learn from this that a case of zeh nehenev is elo chaser, Shimon benefits from the wall, and Ruvain doesn't lose because he built the wall anyway. Patur. If Shimon doesn't have to pay, then in our case, Ben shouldn't have to pay. Shani hatam, it's different there. Da amar le lididi sagili benetirta barzuza. Shimon doesn't really benefit in this case because he could say to him, "For me, it is sufficient for in the cheapest 1 penny's worth of guarding." That we can't say that because Shimon doesn't really benefit in this case, because Shimon could say, "I don't need this big fancy wall that you built. I would have been okay with some thorn bushes." So we can't. The reason Shimon's patur in this case is because Shimon doesn't. In this case, Shimon doesn't really benefit, but in our case, Ben clearly does benefit from saving money for the hotel. Attempt number 4, Tashma. Habayit v'haliyah shel shnaim. We have an upstairs, shared 2-story apartment. Shenaflu. It falls down. Amar ba'al haliyah ba'al habayit. So the upstairs guy, the owner of the upstairs, says to the owner of the downstairs, leave note. Okay, build the bottom so I can then rebuild the top. V'hu eino rotzeh. And he doesn't want to. And Ruvain, the bottom guy, doesn't want to. Hare ba'al haliyah boneh bayit. So the upstairs guy can build the bottom floor, v'yoshev ba, and live there, ad she'ein lo yitziotav, until Ruvain pays the cost to build the house back to Shimon. And we infer yitziotav hu de mechayev le. Ruvain, the cost of the building the house is he has to pay. Mechayev le ba'al habayit. So sorry, I'll read that again. Yitziotav hu de mechayev le ba'al habayit. The ba'al habayit has to pay the yitziot, the cost of building the house, the expenses. Hascharo lo. But it doesn't say anything about Shimon having to pay rent. Shimon just lived in Ruvain's house without permission for a long period of time, and he doesn't have to pay rent. In that case, it seems like our case is Ben should also be patur. If Shimon can live in Ruvain's house for a long period of time without paying, then Ben should be able to live in Ari's house for a long time without paying. Shani hatam, that case is different. Debeita la aliyah mishtabed. That literally this means the downstairs works for the upstairs, meaning the downstairs guy really has to rebuild because the upstairs guy has the law on his side because the downstairs guy is refusing to build. So, and then you can't build an upstairs without a downstairs. So since there's a special relationship, the downstairs guy really has to rebuild or has to let Shimon live there. But in our case, Ari does not have to let Ben live there. Attempt number 5, Tashma. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says, Afzeh, in this case, Hadar b'chatzer chavero shelo midato tzarich la'alot lo schar. Rabbi Yehuda thinks in this case that if Shimon lives in the yard of his friend without his permission, he has to pay for rent. Rabbi Yehuda thinks in this upstairs-downstairs case that Shimon does have to pay rent, that the downstairs guy does have to pay rent for the time he lived in the newly constructed house. That seems to imply that in the case of our case, where Ben lives in Ari's apartment without permission, you are chayav. Shani hatam, this case is different. Mishum shacharuta da'ashaita. Literally means because of the blackening of the walls, as we had said. In this case, Shimon was living in a brand new house that just got built. So the walls get blackened. I mean, it's not brand new. It's not spackled, painted white anymore. So this isn't really a case of no loss. We would try to find a case of lo chaser, that the homeowner doesn't lose, but here the homeowner does lose because now he's moving into a house that's not brand new, and a house that's brand new has a benefit above a used house. And that's where we end that section. Okay, we skip ahead to Rav Schora. Amar Rav Schora, Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav. Rav Schora says in the name of Rav Huna, in the name of Rav, Hadar b'chatzer chavero shelo midato ein tzarich lahalot lo schar. So someone who resides in his friend's house without permission doesn't have to pay, mishum shene'amar, because it says, Ushiya yukat sha'ar. And desolation strikes the gate, as we had seen in Rashi, who explained that this means that that demons, spirits, will attack an empty house, will attack a desolate house, one that is totally empty. So by living in your friend's house, you kind of help prevent demon attacks. Similar answer, Mar Baravashi, or sorry, Mar Baravashi support this. Amar Baravashi, Ledidi Chazile Umingach Kitora. Mar Baravashi says, it appeared to me, I saw it, I saw it, Umangach Kitora, and it gores like an ox. Saying these demons are no joke. The demons really seem to destroy houses. Rav Yosef Amar, Rav Yosef gives an alternative answer, Beta Miatva Yativ, that a house which is occupied is settled, meaning it's better to have as we said, you'll do some basic maintenance, you'll do some basic upkeep. It's better for the homeowner to have someone live in his house than for it to be empty for an extended period of time. My Beinahu, what's the difference between these two answers of preventing demon attacks and doing general upkeep? Ika Beinahu de Kamish Tamish Be B'Tzive V'Tivna. There is a difference in a case where the homeowner is using it for straw, for bricks and straw. In a case where the homeowner is leaving the house not empty, but not a person living there, so there's no risk of demon attacks because it's not a desolate house. It's being used for something. It's being used for storage. But so the guy who thinks it's demon attacks would say that you're not causing any benefit. So you would have to pay rent. But the second guy, who Rav Yosef would say, who it's about general upkeep, that you are performing general upkeep. Yes, the Ari was using it for storage, the homeowner was using it for storage, but it's still a benefit from someone living there to check for leaks and clean up and stuff like that. Okay, guys, good luck.